So I have some clips for you here. One of them is from One America News Network, and the other one is from Newsmax. There's a lot to say about this. This is both glorious and terrifying. You'll see how truly out of this world delusional these people are, and these networks are. They're on Neptune. Take a look.
One America News will officially not be calling Joe Biden the president-elect. And aside from the Epoch Times, which isn't calling the election yet either, you won't hear that anywhere else. We are the only broadcast news network out there with the integrity to report that this election isn't over. Fox News caved, to no one's surprise, but so did all the other so-called conservative media organizations, including Breitbart and even Newsmax. They've all called the race for Biden, but One America News won't. Until all the mountains of fraud are resolved, this race isn't over, and there must be no doubt that we have a president who won honestly, and not by stealing the voices of over 75 million Americans. For One America News, I'm Pearson Sharp.
Is going to be resolved, but I have a very strong conviction still that somehow, in some way, Donald Trump will ultimately prevail. Ultimately, he will. The more I look at these two, especially Joe, it seems very, very unnatural. There's something just wrong about this. But for now, they're going through the motions, okay? They're calling him president-elect, even though he's not, even though according to the Constitution, he definitely is not. They're going through the motions. All right.
What's your end game, bro? What is your end game? Because presumably you can only play this game until Biden is sworn in. And then it's like, okay, well, we were wrong this entire time. Or, you know, when Biden is in year 2 of his administration, will you be like, President Trump is still the president? Like, what are you going to do? What's your end game? You haven't really thought this through much, have you? This is very, like, id-driven. It's really just sad at this point. It really is. So, One America News Network was bragging, we won't even call Biden president-elect, bro. We won't even do that. And then homeboy, whose name is Pearson Sharp, by the way, which almost sounds like a fake conservative news name, right? I'm Pearson Sharp. He says, we're the only network with the integrity to report that this election isn't over. Integrity, he framed it as. No, it's not integrity. It's stupidity. We're the only network stupid enough to continue to lie to our audience and say the election isn't over when it was certified by the Electoral College, son. www.getoverit.net. Dunzo. Over. Forget it. He says Fox News caved. Even Breitbart and Newsmax caved. And I also love how they both have that super fake announcer voice, which really does lead me to believe, even though this is a small thing, it leads me to believe that they know they're full of shit. They're just playing a role. And they're playing the role, in this case, for profit. Because there's a lane now that Fox doesn't occupy of the furthest right network, and they're all competing for that. Greg Kelly, another name that seems like a fake conservative news name. I'm Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly, 2 first name have an ass, says, I have a strong conviction Trump will still prevail. If Biden's not president-elect, he's not, even according to the Constitution. What on earth are you babbling about, son? What on earth are you babbling about? And again, my original point, I don't know what your end game is. Biden's going to be sworn in. He's president. It's over. It's done. There's even been giant hints dropped from Trump that, like, yeah, of course, it is what it is. These guys are still hanging on. They're still hanging on. The most terrifying thought when it comes to these networks is creating a network to the right of Fox. They're not ideological at all. They're not ideological. There's no underlying philosophy or worldview. It's just Fox isn't sufficiently sycophantic to Trump, So now we're going to pop up and be sufficiently sycophantic to him, even to the point where we just flat out lie about the nature of reality and say things as absurd as Biden's not president-elect. And again, compare that with whenever people say we want to network to the left of MSNBC. What does that mean? People want to network to the left of MSNBC. They want one that's more focused on the policy issues, that actually has a coherent worldview and philosophy and ideology. It means I want a network that's going to hold the Democrats accountable as much as they hold the Republicans accountable and actually fight for left-wing values. So it's more ideological. So what does that tell you? That tells you that when the further right you go, the more authoritarian you get as a general rule. Because that's what these networks are. They're just authoritarian. Who's my dear daddy leader? And it's Trump. And so let's just defend him at all costs, even if I'm denying empirical reality. It's really sad. And then how many people are watching this stuff and getting brainwashed? There was one show where Newsmax, was it Newsmax, One American News Network? I think it was Newsmax, beat Fox News in the key demo. Now, thankfully, it's crazy I'm saying thankfully, because Fox is horrendous too. But at least they acknowledge that Biden's president-elect. They're still going to have a lead overall, but yeah, this is where Trump can step in when he leaves office and just start his own conservative network. Start Trump TV, or basically buy One American News Network, buy Newsmax, kind of merge them and have Trump TV. I mean, that would be a good business move on his part, but Trump's not exactly known for good business moves, even though he's created the aura that he's good at that stuff. Just insane propaganda. So over the top, so gross, so in your face, with the fake announcer voice and everything. It's hard for me to believe that some people watch this stuff and they're like, they're the only ones telling me the truth, bro. Really? At this late date where the Electoral College already certified Biden's win, you're still doing this? Over 50 court cases and almost every single one but one got thrown out. And you're still thinking, nah, man, he really won, bro, and watch. I told you guys, it was an amazing story, but for all these betting sites, after Trump already lost, 10% of the bets were going that Trump was going to eventually win. 10%? That's a lot, man. And that 10% is clearly watching One American News Network and Newsmax.